Welcome to Kit's Myths and Mysteries, where we explore events that occurred in a world you thought you knew. In 1914, a conflict erupted that initially involved France, Germany, and England. It would soon spiral, pulling in 32 countries and earning the grim title of World War I, the war to end all wars. The scale of devastation was unprecedented. Over 16 million people, both soldiers and civilians, lost their lives in a war that scarred every continent except Antarctica. At the heart of the fighting on the Western Front was a desolate, terrifying place known as No Man's Land. This was the area between opposing trenches, a barren wasteland belonging to no one, yet fiercely fought over. The distance between these trenches could be hundreds of yards or as little as 10 feet. This shattered earth was a maze of barbed wire and pockmarked with craters from artillery shells. It was a place where any movement was met with a hail of machine gun fire. But as 1914 drew to a close and the new year of 1915 approached, something remarkable happened. The constant roar of battle began to fade. Orders from German, French, and British commanders were slow to arrive. An unusual quiet settled over the front lines. There was a lull in the fighting. Then, on Christmas Eve, a few brave men cautiously crawled out of their trenches. They weren't armed for an attack. Instead, they were calling out Christmas greetings to the enemy soldiers just a short distance away. Hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. More men climbed out of the relative safety of their trenches and stepped into the forbidden ground of No Man's Land.
Wow.
What happened next was truly extraordinary. These soldiers, who had been trying to kill each other just hours before, began to interact. They exchanged gifts of food, tobacco, and souvenirs like buttons and hats. In one sector, an impromptu game of soccer broke out between German and British soldiers, their muddy boots kicking a ball across the frozen ground. The truce wasn't just about fun and games. It was a moment of shared humanity. Joint burial ceremonies were held for the fallen, allowing both sides to honor their dead with dignity. Prisoner swaps were arranged. Several gatherings famously ended with soldiers from opposing armies singing Christmas carols together. Historians estimate that roughly 100,000 German, British, and French soldiers participated in these unofficial ceasefires, which we now call the Christmas Truce of 1914. One British officer, Captain Bruce Bairnsfather, later described the incredible scene. He wrote about how the Germans lined their trenches with candles, their lights flickering in the darkness as they sang Christmas carols. The British troops responded by singing carols of their own. Soon men from both sides emerged, and the artillery fell silent. It was a sight, Captain Bairnsfather said, that he would never, ever forget as long as he lived. Countless letters sent home from the front tried to explain this unbelievable event to loved ones. And so it was, in the early days of the war to end all wars, that the men sent to the most hostile front lines decided that on Christmas Eve, they would rather sing carols and exchange gifts than fight. And for one brief magical moment, they did just that. You've been listening to Kit's Myths and Mysteries, events that have occurred in a world you thought you knew. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more hidden stories from history.